Welcome back. You're watching BT Vancouver here on a Friday morning, 8:44. Beautiful skies there over downtown Vancouver. Russ has your forecast in a little bit. We're going to switch gears right now and talk about the wild sheep population in BC, particularly in the South Okanagan, because it turns out wild sheep in the province are dealing with their own pandemic. For more on this, we're joined by Chris Barker of the Wild Sheep Society of BC. Welcome to BT, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, now give us a little bit of context, because to be clear, the sheep population in BC, the wild sheep, they're not suffering from COVID-19. This is a bacteria, but they have their own pandemic to deal with right now.
Yeah, well, it's a similar idea. It's transferred by nose-to-nose contact from domestic sheep. Once the wild sheep have it, they can obviously social animals, they share it as well. So that's how it kind of spreads around, but it does cause pneumonia and it causes death in our wild sheep.
And this is something that has been identified as far back as the 70s, but you are trying to alert the government and conservation offices about the need to address this because of the declining population of wild sheep in BC.
Yeah, we work really closely with our regional biologists on other projects, so we have a really great relationship through FLNRO. But unfortunately, with the Ministry of Ag, it's come an ag issue. So we want the ag ministry to actually step up, and whether we've got to go to regulation or policy, something to separate our wild sheep from our domestic sheep is really what we're looking for. And you know, it's got to come from the ag ministry on that in order for us to end up with something positive. So,
Chris, is the main problem that domestic sheep and goats are escaping and interacting with the wild sheep, or that wild sheep are sort of coming into farms?
It's basically it's the wild sheep coming down into farms, so it's private property. You know, people have got their hobby farms, they've got some domestic animals. 4-H is not really an issue, but those types of situations. And what happens, the wild sheep, they're curious, they're social, they're still cousins, they come down, they want to hang out, and they interact, and then they go back to the wild sheep, and they can pass it on if the domestic sheep have it, or sheep or goats.
Hang out with their cousins. I like that analogy. Obviously, social distancing is hard with sheep, so how do you enforce this kind of thing?
Basically, the only way we can really do it, we have done double fencing in the past, but then it comes into maintenance cost, all those other things. The biggest thing to do is to make producers aware of it. Try to put in some mitigation tools, whether it is fencing, electric fencing, guard dogs. Maybe they can switch from sheep to cattle, hogs, or chickens. So other opportunities for farming, and trying to just move in that direction. So it's a real, you know, there's a compromise on both sides. We've got to come up with a solution. Obviously, we want a successful industry, but we want to keep our wild sheep safe, and that's the biggest thing is we can't afford to end up going down this path like we are with caribou.
And in terms of numbers, what kind of impact is this bacteria having on the wild sheep population in BC?
So, for instance, Chasm, we had a die-off. I think I got my dates off a bit. I always thought it was about 5 or 6 years ago. I think it's 7 or 8 years ago. But we went from 125 animals, and we're down to 15 animals right now, with basically zero lamb recruitment. So in an all-age die-off, you're going to lose 75 to 95% of your sheep herd.
What an interesting story. We thank you so much for your time today. It sounds like you've got a bustling office behind you there.
Yeah, my real occupation. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you, and have a great day.
Yeah, of course. We'll put this online and let all our viewers know about it. Thank you so much, Chris. That's Chris Barker from the Wild Sheep Society of BC. Coming up.